Hello, my friends. Um, Still here in Villahermosa, Mexico, and I'm going to do chapter 9 and just having an enjoyable time. I appreciate all the prayers and concerns about my luggage. It did show up. I'm happy to announce I now have clean underwear. Still enjoying my time in Mexico. See a lot of unusual and different sights. Let me share some with you. Went and saw a beautiful church in downtown Villahermosa. The craftsmanship was just amazing. Huge cathedral. Oh, it was just beautiful. We went to the church. Then after we went to the church, they had these huge doors. You can't imagine how big they were. Then we went to a park. And you know, I'm from the desert, and man, anytime I get to see water and trees all in the same picture, it's a good day. Saw some unusual creatures, some type of raccoon. I was told that I was calling it wrong, and I'm sure I am, but it's some type of form of a raccoon, kuka or something. But let's dig into chapter 9. This is where Mark talks about being called to write and how he struggled with that. Mark felt like he had a call to preach and a call to pastor and to come alongside of people and to love on them. And he also felt like he had a call to write and never had time. And it was something that he felt for a long time that he should write. And he kept on waiting for everything to be perfect, for there to be a perfect time in his life and a perfect emotional state to pour his feelings into a book. And that day never came, and years would pass by, and they would pass by, and still nothing. And a lot of times we don't start the things that God calls us to do because we're trying to get everything perfect. I have a friend that says all the time, don't kill better for best. And what that means is if it's something you can do better today, but not perfect, but it's better than what you did yesterday, just do it. Don't try to get it perfect on the first attempt. And his point is very valid. And, you know, one of the things we struggle with, we understand this in our head, that there are steps in success. And a lot of times there can be many steps in our success to get from where we are to where God is calling us to be. But the most critical step, in my opinion, is that one that takes us from where we are to a new path. Once we start this process, a lot of times things just get easier. We get momentum. Another analogy is like we want life to be like a buffet where we get to eat all the crab legs we can possibly stuff in our mouth. and then pay for it at the end. That's not the way life works. The register is on the front end of this thing. You have to pay the price to begin with. You have to try to get momentum out of something where there is no momentum, where motion has stopped, and you got to get it moving. Oh, that's difficult. And that's where the strength of the Lord comes in. And a lot of times that's also where we get confirmation that we're called to do something, because it just sits there and nags at us. God's voice, I've talked about, is so quiet in my life. It's so hard for me to lean into it and to hear it. And I have to have the noise around me quiet in order to hear God, because it's such a quiet, still voice. The world's voice is very, very loud, and it's all over the place. And Satan's voice is very loud in my life. But God's is quiet, but God is persistent. Oh my goodness. He just sits there and waits until we're where we need to be with him. And a lot of times in that nagging, I need to do this, I need to do this, is things in our lives that God knows. God knows all the steps. God knows how to move us from here to there. God knows how to make us a resource for other people. And a lot of times that is, man, I don't know why I need to call Billy Bob, but I need to pick up the phone and call him. Or I need to send him a text. And you start down that path and you go, oh God, wow, what an encounter, and you brought me alongside where you're at work. That's so exciting. That's where we chase the lions. And I was able to speak words of encouragement in their life. Or I was able to receive encouragement from them. God knows those things, but he does not typically reveal those things to us on this side. The call to obedience is huge. I think that Mark had to get to the place where he just started. He had to get to the place where he said, all right, I'm going to start. I don't have time today to write my book, but I have time today to write a page. And he put the page on paper. If he's like me, he probably tore it up the next day and redid it. But he was getting momentum. He was getting his words down. He was involved in that process of chasing his line. And we a lot of times have associated lions with the task that God is calling us to. But there's another enemy out there besides the overwhelming of the task, is Satan. I have dyslexia. It's very hard for me to spell. When I graduated high school, I tested out at the 4th grade spelling. I don't know why. My brain still struggles with that. I had a very strong speech impediment when I was very young. I spent a year learning how to say domino. That was my big accomplishment with a speech teacher. Oxygen is one that, oh man, I would go into the welding supply stores and say, give me a bottle of that oxygen. And they just always thought that I was making a joke out of it and laughed, thank goodness. I just couldn't say, I need a bottle of acetylene, I need a bottle of oxygen. And the more I thought about it, guess what? It didn't get easier. It got more complicated. And what I found is God gives us weaknesses as well as strengths. And God seeks to make the gap in that weakness. I love this picture of this chain. Do y'all think it would hold very much? Kind of a weak link there, isn't there? Of course, Satan is going to attack me at my weak link. He's not going to attack me at my strong link. He's going to attack me on my paper clip. He's going to attack me on my weak link. When he attacks me, a lot of times it's in the area of not being able to find the right words, not being able to spell. I lead a lot of meetings and I use a whiteboard a lot. I can't spell anything. And it's real easy for me to lose the essence of what I'm trying to communicate as people focus on my spelling. I've been blessed to be with people that are able to overlook that. But it's real easy for Satan to come alongside and kind of go, Bert, who are you? Well, that's a good question. Who am I? When I'm walking in my own flesh, man, I focus on that paper clip. When I'm walking with God, I'm able to go, I'm a lion chaser. Not because of my strength, but because of my Lord's. And I have a boldness that I can growl back at the lion. And I'm willing to chase it. And I'm willing to say, I may look foolish, but I am willing to do what God calls me to do, and I'm going to let Him put all the pieces together, and I'm going to be obedient to what I feel He has called me to do today. And we just start to push on it. And we walk in a way that we don't have to see the big picture, because God wants us to walk by faith. God wants us to chase lions, but it's lions that we don't even know where that road ends up. But this next step is so critical. I mean, if I could communicate one thing to you, I would say the life of obedience is so critical. Does that mean sin-free, perfect, never doubt? No. Don't get ridiculous. We're flesh and blood, and God knows we are. God knows we're weak. But when we do get off that path, we get right back on it. We're repentant people. We come, Lord, I'm sorry. I've gotten somewhere where I shouldn't have been, and I'm ready to get back on the path. Help me. And He will. God seeks people that will humbly walk before them, before Him. See, there you go, my speech impediment. I can't find the right words. But we're up to chapter 9. And I hope you have gone through the book. I hope these videos have been helpful. And I hope it's been a stair step of something that has strengthened your faith and has given you the boldness to chase the lion that God has planted in your life. It'll be different for you. It'll be different for you than it is for me. God has such large bandwidth and such large plans for each one of us, and it's unique to us. And I just encourage you, if you're adrift and you aren't grounded in what God has called you to do, I want to encourage you. Spend some time in prayer. Spend some time asking people around you. I, at any time, would be glad to be a sounding board. I have had the blessings of many sounding boards in my life that's been so helpful for me to find confirmation of the path of God. We are not to live on an island by ourselves. We're not to try to chase lions in a complete vacuum. That's not right. God places us in community. Lean into that community. I think you'll find wisdom. If you don't, get another community. There's lots of good people out there that you can come be in a community with. Find them. God will put them there. If God calls you to write a book, write a book. If God calls you to turn on a video camera, turn on a video camera. If God causes you to send a text, send a text. If God causes you to send in a resume, send in a resume. If God calls you to kneel before some pretty girl and go, will you marry me? God seeks to bless you as we chase these lions of life. God has a plan and a purpose for that. But you got to be bold and you got to be trusting. Have a good day, my friend.